Hello, and thanks for joining us for this Actual Tech Media Spotlight Series segment. I'm James Green, partner and VP for content at Actual Tech Media, and I'm excited to host a discussion for you today about networking, the state of networking today, and about where we're headed. And my guest today is extremely qualified to speak on that subject. His name is David, and I'm going to let him introduce himself to you. David, would you please introduce yourself to the audience and maybe say just a little bit about Alkira as well?
Sure. Yeah, James, thank you for hosting me. I'm happy to be here with you and with all our viewers. So my name is David Klebanov. I head product marketing for a company called Alkira, and we're a new company. We've been around for about 2.5 years, and we really focus on the networking as a service or network services as a service, the entire sort of a networking paradigm, and how we take networking and bring this into the cloud era.
I love this, and I think in the cloud era, a lot of the new way we're approaching it is to offload things that are not the main thing. Um, so an example would be, cloud in general is offloading IT in some ways. Networking, I think, is a particularly hard one to just offload, just given the physical constraints and the sensitivity and all that kind of stuff. Um, Talk to me about how at Alkira you guys have thought about providing a robust set of network services that can actually take on that burden from customers and give them the network they want without them having to actually do it.
Right. You nailed it. Networking is not easy. Networking has never been easy. Anybody who says that networking is easy is misleading. Networking is complicated, and we've had a fair share of networking technologies appear over the decades. And in fact, the last decade that we had was very eventful for the networking because there's a whole lot of software-defined approaches that have emerged in the last decade. And the way that we look at the networking at Alkira, we really look at it from a new angle. What would you have done as an enterprise? What would you have done as an organization had you had a chance to design your network with cloud in mind? And we're not just talking about cloud as your applications are moving to the cloud, which is obviously the case, but also how would you design your network if you were to borrow those cloud attributes of scalability, agility, global presence, the pricing and service delivery models. What if you were to take all of these concepts that the compute guys, the storage guys, anybody who moves applications to the cloud really sees a value in? What if you were to take this and apply it to the network infrastructure and network services infrastructure and security infrastructure? It's a very different way of looking at networking. And the way that we've done this is we said, let's create a service. Let's really take and abstract all of this complexity into a service or a network as a service. And the way we do that is we have created what we call a global virtual network infrastructure as a service. So what this is an Alkira's technology, is Alkira's software, which is deployed on top of the public cloud infrastructure and really allows enterprises to build their global networks that connect them to the cloud, that connect them across the clouds, between the clouds, inside the clouds, multiple regions of the same cloud, any connectivity needs that touch the cloud, but also touch the on-premise environment, because obviously cloud is a very important piece, but you have to connect to the cloud. So we're talking about branches and data centers and co-locations and users, and all of that is cohesively connecting into this Alkira's global virtual infrastructure. And it's connecting in a very efficient way, is that that global infrastructure that Alkira provides is available anywhere in the world. So anywhere you have your cloud workloads, anywhere you have your users and your branch offices, anywhere in that area you have a close by an Alkira point of presence, so to speak, that we call an Alkira Cloud Exchange Point, that allows you to connect to this global network of yours and establish this global connectivity. Now, in addition to that, obviously, beyond connectivity, we're talking about network services and such as security services. So if you're designing your network and your applications are moving away from the data center, and you are building this new network, what happens to your network services that were resident in the data center? So what happens in Alkira's solution is the onboarding of these services into the Alkira cloud exchange points. Those points of presence are no longer just for connectivity, but they're also for the services deployment, such as firewalls and other services. And of course, the operational angle of visibility, control, troubleshooting, all of that. We call this entire concept as a network cloud, or Alkira's network cloud, which is really the concept of making your network operate by the cloud principles. So that's kind of our fresh look into this.
There's a lot there, and a couple things I specifically want to tease apart. One is that you mentioned in a standard network today, there are multiple different sites and services that need to get connected. So, at one point, businesses had the corporate network, and that was probably kind of complex. And then at some point, we leaked out a little bit into this hybrid cloud thing where there's a corporate network and maybe a cloud. And now it's like the corporate network and cloud A, cloud B, cloud C, branches all over the world. Like, it's very complex, and it turns out to be this like mesh or matrix of connections. And that's one of the things that makes it so hard to do this. What struck me about what you were saying is because the way that you've built the Alkira network cloud is in such a cloudy way, it's not that what you're doing is not complex, but it makes allowing users to do what I just described actually pretty simple. Is that a fair assessment?
That is very, very fair, James. In fact, I don't mean to trivialize. The problem is very complicated to solve, and we have solved this. And of course, we have a lot of intelligence and intellectual property, so to speak, inside this global infrastructure, this software global infrastructure that we're deploying. So the problem is not easy. The way that we make it really easy for enterprises is the consumption of that, is that it is really consumed through a single point and click digital design canvas where you sign up for the service just like you would for any SaaS product. You log in, you have a canvas that you just drag and drop, point and click your way by placing all of your clouds and on-premise locations and your network services onto this design canvas, and you press one button to deploy and one button to provision, and a typical network gets provisioned in under an hour. Right? So it is a complex operation, but all of that is abstracted by this Alkira service that I've mentioned.
One of the things that I think can be intimidating to folks when we're talking about something that is a big new paradigm is when they look at that and go, that sounds great. And then they look at what they've got and they say, I've got this massive investment in, network plumbing and on-premises network services, and none of it is very cloudy. That's not just going to go away. And so they think to themselves, can I get to what David is describing? And the answer is yes. Can you talk a little bit about the intersection of kind of what you've got today and where we're talking about going to, and how what is the on-ramp like there?
You're absolutely right. There is no greenfield. I like to say that everything is a brownfield, right? Anybody who thinks that they'll get the luxury, of any IT organization that thinks they're going to get a luxury of doing everything from scratch is obviously an illusion, right? There's always a brownfield. So obviously we don't have a lot of time to kind of go through the details here, but in a general lines, you're right. All these traditional environments, they are kind of seamlessly connecting into this Alkira's service offering, be those an existing SD-WAN environments, be those a traditional MPLS environments, even be those some of the cloud environments that people have taken a do-it-yourself approach in order to build those. Even those can be connected into the Alkira's infrastructure. So we are fully aware that we are operating in a brownfield environment, and in fact, our customers, and we're working with a lot of customers from the smallest ones to the really Fortune 50 and Fortune 100 enterprises. They're really taking sort of this kind of a piecemeal approach, is that nobody jumps into the water heads first before kind of checking the ground. So we're seeing enterprises that are taking a gradual approach to transitioning from an existing do-it-yourself networking model into the network as a service approach by Alkira. And our platform is such that it allows people to really do this in this piecemeal, gradual fashion. So side by side, VPC by VPC, VNet by VNet, user by user. So all of that is possible to transition to this platform with, of course, an interoperability with an existing environment. One thing I have to mention is that the pedigree of people that we have working at Alkira has a lot of decades of experience or combined experience of operating in a networking industry. So we fully understand the intricacies of what it means to build networks specifically for enterprises where networking is such a critical element of their infrastructure and subsequent success. We are fully aware of that, and we have engineered our solution in such a way that allows you all of this routing controls that you would need to interoperate brownfield environment with the as a service environment that you're building with Alkira. So we've gone down that road, and we've shown that to quite a few customers, and quite a few customers have done this with us.
Very good. Well, we're running out of time. David, I wish that Spotlight Series segments were an hour long because I'm having fun. It's always good to chat with you. If you're watching and you want to dig a little bit deeper, David and I have previously done a half-hour long Gorilla Guide Q&A show where we go a little bit deeper on these things. You should definitely check that out. And then if that's not enough for you and you need to continue, I imagine David has some things he could recommend. David, for somebody whose appetite is whetted and who needs to go exploring, what would you recommend they do to dig deeper?
Yeah, so first of all, always a pleasure to be on your show, James. I would recommend anybody to go to alkira.com. This is our website. That's where you can read up on all the sort of technology innovation that we're bringing to the market with this network as a service approach. And you are welcome to, if you're ready to take the first step, you're welcome to register for the service right there on the website. If you want to learn a little bit more and see a personalized demo, you are more than welcome to to fill out the form, and we'll get back to you and arrange a personalized demo where you can see for yourself how you basically build your network in this digital design canvas, point and click, drag and drop, and deploy everything in less than 1 hour, literally in minutes. So alkira.com is your single source of information for anything that you want to know, and ready to start the service or see the demo, and invite people to go there.
Great. Well, David, thanks again, and thanks to everybody for watching.
Thank you so much.